And hi, wrestling fans, and welcome to another scintillating last edition of the year of 2024 edition of AIWF Ringside Wrestling. Next time we come to you, it'll be next year, and that's just a week. I mean, a little less than a week away. I mean, next year is Wednesday. I mean, 2024 is almost history. It's been a great year in the wrestling business. Great year in the Mid Atlantic. We've seen one of the guys that came through here before, Jay Malachi, move up to NXT and is doing well up there. You know, is working pretty high up the card already with Ethan Page right now. They've got a feud going on, a blood feud. A blood squirting out of the Adam's apple feud. That was gruesome.
Mhm.
Did you guys see that when Ethan Page stomped his head in that
When he
chair?
stomped, yeah, I saw
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Oh, Rick Deezel, you got to see it. I mean, all you have to do is Google it. I'm sure you find it.
it's
It
it's
is
it's
gruesome.
it is violent. And what's so funny though is the same people who like that are also the same people that talk crap about other organizations that do similar stuff. So it's just very interesting. But it was fantastic. It looked great. I think we
Well,
set him up well for
I
those
don't think
types of things.
anybody was seriously hurt during that, and it also was not even in the same ballpark as jumping through a plate glass window in a crowded Coliseum, Greensboro,
No,
Darby Allin, or
I agree.
sticking a syringe in somebody's cheek. It's not
No, I'm
that.
just talking about the chair. I'm not talking
Yeah.
about all that other
Oh
nonsense.
yeah.
I'm just talking about the use of a chair.
Yeah. But anyway, so I can't wait to see Jay Malachi and Ethan Page one on one. That's going to be, a barn burner. So, Rick Diesel, you're back. You said you had something on your mind that you wanted to talk about. So lead us off, my friend.
Well, you know that 2025 is going to be an interesting year for the AIWF Mid Atlantic because, as you know, we kind of at near the end of 2024 this year, we've been doing some work with a group out of Tennessee called ICW, Iconic Championship Wrestling.
Mhm.
Well, in 2025, that partnership is, uh, I guess you could say, take it to the next level. Um, we are going to be co-running Ivanhoe, Virginia. It's going to be it's going to be like an ICW show, but AIWF Mid Atlantic is going to be a part of it. So we're working together in Ivanhoe, Virginia. We're going to be doing some of our TV tapings and stuff up there. So we'll be bouncing back and forth kind of between Mount Airy and Ivanhoe. And I was up at their show. I was up at their show in December, and their commissioner up there is a young lady named Jacqueline Curtis. And God bless her. I had to step in and reverse a and they let it stick somehow. So I stepped in and reversed a title change up there because one of the participants on one of the tag teams hadn't signed the contract. Okay. So what I want to say is the reason I'm saying this is because I'm going to be more involved with around the ICW stuff if Jackie don't get her act together, I'll step in more often. And if she don't like it, I don't know what to tell you. She can go home and make a freaking sandwich for all I care. Um, but if she's not going to be proactive, then I will step in, and because I'm doing so good in the Mid Atlantic. I mean, this has been so good since I took over. So I just want to let you guys know that it's going to be interesting because of the two companies working together, and I'm sure there's going to be some cross matches and stuff like that. Who knows? Well, oh, that was weird. That was cool. But anyway, um, it's for the fans out there. They're going to enjoy it. People who can go back and forth between both shows. We will, be filming a lot of our TV stuff up there and in Mount Airy. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And it's going to be interesting to see if Jackie steps up her game because I ain't going to play. I ain't got time for it.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it comes up. Let's see. Going to be an interesting year, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see here. I'm trying to pull that list together for you. We was talking about before we went on the air of all the wrestling pay-per-views coming up for the big national companies in 2025. I just about got it. Now, Rick Deezel, you were telling us off the air a few weeks ago that you've been watching Texas wrestling and you weren't a big fan. Would you like to explain to the fan? We discussed it a little bit amongst ourselves last week and the week before, but since you're here, I'd rather the fans hear it from you.
Well, it's the old world class wrestling from I think 1984 is what I was watching, and it's like I'd never really paid attention in the past when I'd watched it until now, at just how often the Von Erichs was in every freaking main event of every freaking show they done in one form or another.
Mhm.
It was almost like they had like 12 guys in the dressing room on the whole company.
It won't
And the
many,
Von Erichs just feuded with all of them.
yeah, it won't many more than that. I know they had a small roster. I
It
would
was
encourage you to go back and
bizarre.
watch the stuff from like 80, 81, 82. I mean, it's still all the Von Erich boys on top, but I mean, the promotion I think was hotter then because the Freebirds were there. And I'm trying to think.
You can actually sit in 84 and watch the crowds get smaller every week as you can start seeing empty seats popping up high in the sportatorium, and
Hmm.
then every week there'll be a few more empty seats and a few more empty seats.
People got
But I
tired of
guess
it.
everybody just got tired of the Von Erichs. I mean, that's all they seen.
Well, I think too, it's not just about, it's just, you don't want to go and sit at a show and watch a group come out every single match, just every single match, and the same people every single week. Like, I know that they were very popular, but I could see where eventually that would start getting old because you do want to see other like people wrestle and stuff. And then if they're always winning, then that also takes out the fun of it.
Hmm.
Yeah, and when they what the only reason that whenever they didn't win, it was because they were getting attacked and beat down, so they could win the next week. I
Right.
mean, I don't know. I know Fritz put his boys over. I know that the whole promotion was revolving around Fritz's boys, and back then you could get away with that. But
Hmm.
I just noticed it when I went back and rewatched 94 or 84. I'm sorry. It's just so bizarre how I mean, it was like, I bet out of what, 50 plus shows they done, 40, 50 plus TV shows they done that year, I bet 96% of them had a Von Erich in the main event in one form or another.
Well, didn't David die in 1984? Because
They went through the whole 84. They went through the whole thing of the announcement of David passing and memorials and all that stuff. And then they tried to push Mike up, which was just
yeah, a big
bad.
mistake. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think I've heard Cornette say many times that when him and the Midnight Express went there in 1985 or near the end of 84 and into 85 as a favor to Bill Watts, that they were like, what in the world? And he had said that Dennis told him that he figured that with all the Von Erich scandals and, the rumors about Kerry coming out drunk wrestling and David dying and all that kind of stuff had hurt the fan base. And they, only the like diehards were still coming by the time they were there in 85. So, I mean, who knows? Who knows? It was a great promotion at one time, though. I know my Uncle Lonzy loved it. Texas wrestling, boy. He watched it every day on ESPN. Loved it.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
79 in Georgia right now.
Well, I've seen some of that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had one of the young guys. Well, we were talking one time about territory wrestling, and he was like, I don't get what's so great about the Gordon Soley show. And I was like, what do you mean? It was like, well, they have a bunch of boring matches, maybe one or two good ones, and they do interviews and that's about it. And I was like, yeah, but I mean, it was different back then. I see where you're coming from. I do like if I'm having insomnia or something like that, I'll put on Georgia Championship Wrestling from that time period and just lay my phone on my shoulder and let the sound go into my ear and put me right out. But
Well, I mean, it's like I watched the episode the other day where old Sterling Golden showed up.
oh yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
remember him, Hulk
And Bret
Hogan.
Hart was on there from Bret Hart from somewhere in Colorado. They built him.
Really, that's
Hmm.
wild. I didn't know Bret Hart ever went to Georgia.
Yeah, he's there.
Wow, that's trippy, man. Never know who you're going to see on Georgia Championship Wrestling. Or was it World Championship Wrestling by then in 79?
No, it's still Georgia Championship Wrestling.
Okay.
Because
So,
Bobby Heenan was there.
yeah,
And
and I
he
remember
had the Superstar and Ernie Ladd and Killer Carl Cox and his Heenan family. And they was feuding with Wahoo, Tony Atlas, and Ole Anderson.
yeah. Killer
Two
Carl.
pretty mean son of a bitches. Jesus.
Yeah.
Can you imagine having to wrestle them? Good God.
Stan Hansen was there killing people.
Yeah. Well, Stan couldn't see him, so that's why he had to
Right.
work snug. But if you ever hear like a shoot interview with him, he sounds like such the nicest guy.
Stan Hansen is the only person, even after I got into the business, he was the only wrestler that I ever thought they didn't smarten up. I'm like, somebody needs to talk to that dude.
So Stan Hansen, I know this was like down like later on way in his career, but I do enjoy the Missy Hyatt, Stan Hansen stuff in WCW, where it's it's a little problematic in 2024, but God, it's so funny.
Yeah.
I mean, it's some of the because I mean, you would just say it's hard to explain. It's just him with that tobacco pouring out of his mouth,
Yes.
and her having to deal with him. And I think there's a scene where she goes in the shower.
Yeah,
and
she thinks it's Tom Zink,
and it's Stan Hansen, and it's comedy gold. It's really good, and if you can, I would check that out because it's entertaining and stuff. So
yeah, it's in 1991, and the first one is on the Wrestle War pay-per-view, and the second one is on the Super Brawl pay-per-view in 91. So if you guys want to look that up, there's a lot more good stuff on those shows, not just those bits. But wouldn't that be funny? Like, can you imagine how the internet would go into an outrage if Gunther, picked up Kathy Kelly in backstage in Raw and just started whopping her on the behind with a newspaper. Like, get out of here, you ignorant American, and stop asking me stupid questions. Like, the internet exploded.
I would say, because that's around the same time, a little bit later, though. I'm a man. You're a woman with Paulie and Medusa's around that same time frame, right?
Yeah, it was the next year at Halloween.
Yeah. So if you want to see some really good, terrible attitudes towards women, that's 91, 92 WCW's prime.
But now, I will say that whole thing was showing that Medusa was actually tougher than Paulie Dangerously. That and like even the members of the Dangerous Alliance, as Paulie is chewing her out, even they're getting disgusted and walking away. They're like, "Man, this is too much for even me."
Yeah.
And I'm one of the biggest assholes in this company, but even this is too much for me. I'm out of here.
And Arn Anderson was famous. He walked away from that, and he was famous for back in the 80s, 86, telling Baby Doll, when he was feuding with Dusty and Magnum, is like, Baby Doll, women were put on earth to do two things: make dinner and make babies. And you just stay out of the force.
Well, because there's that one word
nuclear heat these days. If you said stuff like that, you really could.
You would.
But, you'd have to be careful because it might chase off the advertisers. That's what that's why you got to walk that fine line. I mean, people say, yeah, you're getting great ratings, but you just chased off Coca-Cola and Mars M&Ms.
I came across a clip of Rick Rude and Bobby Heenan on Regis and Kelly. Not Regis and Kelly, Regis and Kathy Lee.
Yeah.
And he had on his, for anybody that knows Rick Rude, back then, he would have his airbrush tights. And a lot of times he'd have women's faces on it. So it had Kathy Lee's face on it. And he was doing his thing and she was running away from him and he was chasing her around the set. It was so funny, but everybody said she absolutely hated it. But to watch it, it's hilarious. So.
Well, Regis and Heenan seemed like they liked it pretty good.
They did. They did.
I ran across a thing also when I was searching for these old wrestling stuff. I don't know if Brian and Reagan would find this very interesting. It was called Mystery Titans Theater. Y'all ever seen that?
Mm-mm.
No, I
No, I
haven't.
haven't. What is that?
Well, it was in 1985. I'm looking at one right here. It's called Mystery Titans Theater. It's where these guys watch old WWE back when it was WWF, and it was like Mystery Science Theater 3D,
Mhm.
and that's how they do it.
Is it on YouTube?
Yeah,
on YouTube?
they're
Oh, wow.
critiquing it just like it did, with the jokes and making the wisecracks and stuff.
I would also suggest if people want to watch something old that kind of walks through ESPN. This is where I first came across AWA's terrible ESPN show. There's a show called Cheap Seats that was on ESPN early 2000s as two twin comedians, and they do other sporting events that are really weird, but like they also do that ESPN AWA wrestling, and it's hilarious to watch. And that's where I came across first, like that was on ESPN in their dying days. So it's also something to watch if you want to watch some weird wrestling stuff. So
yeah, I found
Mystery
Titans Theater. I found it. It's a whole channel. It will come up if you start typing it in. Oh wow. They hadn't done anything in 2 years. They probably got demonetized.
Could have been.
Yeah.
Man,
I'm sure because they're just showing somebody else's content and putting. This is not.
Yeah,
This is not
poking fun at it.
Yeah, this is not reviewing it for historical content, and just showing a clip or something like Stevie Richards does. But I would encourage you guys to check it out. I'm looking at 1983, and Eddie Gilbert is on the card.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and it's from the Cap Center in Washington. So, wow. Okay, very good. Very good. We discovered something new to waste our times and lives with on YouTube now.
That's what I need to do. More.
Yeah, more social media. Yeah. That's what we all
I can
need.
watch it in between my scam baiting videos.
Yeah, those ads that look like TikToks now are just driving me crazy on YouTube. Ladies, I got to tell you, don't stop me when I tell you how you can lose 40 pounds in less than 20 seconds by taking this one little product you've already got in your home, Skip. But you have to listen to that first portion. And also, let me tell you how I keep my man hard for 2 days straight with just these few household items. And then you got the guys that go, whatever you do, stop paying your car insurance. I found out that in North Carolina, you don't have to have car insurance. And I skipped because I if you're going to lie to me that fast into the ad, that's
considering North Carolina's one of them states where you have to carry insurance for the people who aren't insured. So.
Yep. And I imagine it's like Virginia. If they catch you without insurance, they'll suspend your driver's license. So I have not run into that problem because I always pay my insurance.
Yeah, so, I know.
Don't want to lose that license because if you do, they're really hard to get back. You have to jump through a lot of red tape, but so anyway, hey, I heard this year remember Mark Curtis, the referee in Smoky Mountain and WCW? You guys remember him from the 90s? He wrestled a little bit too. And he wrestled under a hood. And he called himself the Master of Disaster. I thought you'd find that interesting, Brian. I know you were kind of close with a fellow that used to wrestle here called the Master of Disaster.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
wish we still had that. I wish Brian used to have a silk jacket, that guy's silk jacket, and it said M of D on the front of it.
M of D.
M of D.
M of D.
I think of Phillips MOM when you hear that milk and magnesia.
Oh my God!
Yeah. But I thought you'd get a kick out of that, Mark Curtis. And so I brought this up in our conversation this week. Remember we were watching the ticket sales for the AEW show in Charlotte, and they're not exactly selling like hotcakes. And my opinion is they killed the town at that show before the pandemic battle of the belts. But there was announced this past week the Rock and Roll Express are going to appear at the Collision show scheduled in Charlotte and try to get some nostalgia ticket buys, I guess, If anybody that was watching wrestling in 1986 still gives a shit enough, I mean, I know the Rock and Roll were red hot down here, according to Cornette in '86. They were hotter than Dusty and Flair, and so I don't know. What do you think? Are people going to buy tickets just to see them walk out and wave
I
to the
think they're
crowd?
doing it in Texas too.
Oh, are they?
I think they're doing a show in Texas too.
I know that the Rock and Roll Express did a one-off with them a few years ago, because didn't one of them go through a table or something? I'm pretty sure they came out, and then maybe Ricky went through somebody, well, a table or a thing, something that was like a little like exciting moment, but that might have been years ago. I don't know. I mean, you've already got people who are legitimately from the area you have FTR. I mean, now you have Edge. So you have the hometown guys that are, when I say North Carolina, when I say hometown, that are active. And I love the Rock and Roll Express. Like, I love them. But I don't know how many they would bring in of fans of AEW. So
right, yeah, I don't know. I don't think. I mean, they might make their money back on them, maybe, but I think they're thinking, well, Sting brought in a bunch of people. Let's bring in the Rock and Roll Express, and it's just not the same. Sting has been actively on a major television wrestling show, pretty much his whole career. And the Rock and Roll Express are legends, and they were huge in their time, and they're still legends to this day. But the average wrestling fan, hasn't seen a lot of Rock and Roll Express content, and I don't think they're going to. And even if you're I'm a Rock and Roll Express fan, knowing that Ricky and Robert are there does not incentivize me to go.
Mm-hmm.
So, and maybe there's enough people out there who are close by and, oh, Ricky and Robert are going to be there. Okay. Like they were teetering on the edge, and maybe it'll convince them to go. And again, like I said, they may make their money back on however much they're paying them, but it's not going to be the same as having Sting actually performing.
Right. Well,
I think it'll help their viewership on TV. Is it a TV taping?
Yeah, it's for Collision, but that show only usually gets like between 150 and 200,000 viewers each week. I mean, it's pretty bad.
I think it'll help their viewership to see what's going to happen to the Rock and Roll Express, see how they use them. I don't think it's going to help their ticket sales.
So in 2021, the Rock and Roll Express were on the Charlotte show on January 4th, 2021. They were also at the Knoxville, Tennessee Dynamite in January 22nd, 2021. So they have used them in their hometowns before. So I mean, which makes me wonder if it does help, maybe a little bit, because I mean, if they've used them in the past, I mean, you would hope that the statistician or whatever the hell Tony Khan really is would like look at that and be like, hey, when we had them, we sold this many more tickets. So right. I mean, who knows? I mean, like I said, I knew that they had used them before. I knew it had been a while, but apparently they've done that. Is that the Charlotte show? What Charlotte show did you go to? Oh, you just went to the Sting.
I went to Battle of the Belts. This has been back before the pandemic. Yeah.
Okay.
And there was a good crowd that night. It was not sold out by any stretch of the imagination, but the building was 3/4 or more full. But ever since then, I mean, I've said it before, we only got one really good match and a bunch of squash matches. And everybody was just like, and I hadn't seen a good crowd there since. And that's a shame, because the wrestling fans down here, you go to a WWE show in this city, holy God, it's like Jim Crockett Promotions back in the day. The crowds are so, I mean, girls screaming. I mean, it's not quite that intense with the teeny boppers, but the little kids are jumping all around and jumping on top of mom and dad's head like little spider monkeys running around there, and it's just a great scene. And I wish the AEW could capture that, because they're good wrestling fans down here, but they're not going to come and see a bunch of crap, because they've got independents in every town around here, or you can drive 100 miles, less than 100 miles in any direction from Charlotte, and see an independent show any weekend of the year. You got to come, you got to bring, if you want to put 20,000 people in a building in this town, you got to bring something they want to see. And that's just, but that's the way it is in every city in North Carolina. I mean, in my opinion.
Well, why don't they, have they ever run in Asheville? I know Asheville now is.
Well, they have, but it's been a while.
Really? No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say, like, maybe now. Well, people are wanting tourism back to Asheville. Like, maybe that's someplace they should look into. That you got wrestlers that live in that. That's where I believe FTR lives now, and that's where Adam Copeland lives now. And so, like, and it's a smaller. The
building is smaller,
but like.
You've seen it. It's the old Asheville Civic Center. I know you've seen it on old WCW shows before.
Yeah, and that's the one I saw.
Where are they running in Charlotte?
AEW, they're running the old Charlotte Coliseum, Bojangles Coliseum.
Just go run Grady Cole.
You know what? If they did that, that would be smart, because they could fill that place up and it would be lively. Yeah. I've been to that building. That's a good building to see wrestling in. I've been in there. We went in there for NXT years ago. It was great. Place was just loud.
It's like Reagan was saying earlier, as far as the Rock and Roll Express goes, everybody loves Rock and Roll Express, but you can see Ricky Morton on an independent show over and over, and you can reach out and touch him, you know what I'm saying, and talk to him.
Yeah.
He'll come out
get your
and hang out with you out next
out
back. You know what I'm saying, that front entrance and all that stuff. So, like I said, I feel like it may help their viewership, just because people say, oh, what they going to do to the Rock and Roll Express? They're going to bring these old dudes in and whip our ass.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it's going to help their ticket sales, because everybody around here has seen Ricky Morton forever. He's worked for us since what, 95?
Yeah.
Literally almost 30 years Ricky Morton has worked sporadically for the AIWF. Come on, man.
When were they at Deal with the Steel? 3 years ago?
22, I believe. Or was it 21?
I think it was 22.
Okay. Yeah. So
I got a shirt around here somewhere with it on it, but
I still got the advertising magnet on the refrigerator in the in the kitchen. So I love that. Let's see. Let me read a couple of ads real quick here. Let's see. I forgot to do it last week. So anyway, Tees Creations Custom Apparel. We're still got an old slide up here, so they're still showing the fall stuff for Halloween. But I'll get some new pics of all their new stuff. Any kind of custom design you need, they got plenty of pre-made designs. And you can see them all at teescreations22.com, Tees Creations by Allied Apparel on Facebook, TikTok at Tees Creations, and on Shopify. So they are literally all over the internet. Not hard to find them. You need shirts for the Little League team, for shirts for family reunion, church picnic, whatever. They got you covered. Reach out to them at all these places on the internet. Once again, teescreations22.com, Tees Creations by Allied Apparel on Facebook, TikTok, they're on Tees Creations, and you can look for them on Shopify. Our newest is Big D's Grill. Oh, delicious food truck, also operates out of Mount Airy. They got wings, burgers, Philly steaks, and the guy that runs it grew up in the Northeast, so he knows what he's talking about when it comes to hot dogs and Philly steaks, right? But yeah, you see that he's got Philly cheese steaks, chicken tenders, chicken wings, burgers, hot dogs, fries, mini donuts, snow cones. Is Big D gonna be anywhere in the next few weeks, or is he winding down for the winter, Rick Deezel?
Kind of slowing down a little bit for the winter, but I will tell you this, he has been working on some really interesting mini donut flavors. I'm talking pretty interesting.
Do tell.
Well, it's like for the winter, he's got one, and he will be starting back up probably in the next few weeks. You know what I'm saying? But But through Christmas, New Year's, everybody kind of slows down.
Oh yeah, I know.
But I mean, he's got one that was really good. It was chocolate raspberry, I think that's what it was. Then he had like a hot chocolate mini donuts that taste. I don't know. He's got so many. You know, I need to get him to send you a list of them.
Yeah, that'd be great. If you can send that now, we'd sure like to have it. And if you want to advertise with the show, $10 a month for 4 reads. If we take a week off, doesn't count against you. So keep us in mind. We're the cheapest. We're putting a headlock on high advertising prices. I challenge you to find any other kind of podcast or show like this, whatever you want to call it, that cheap with advertising. So, all right. Well, Brian and Reagan look like they stepped away. So let me show you guys.
We were trying to eat dinner.
Yeah, so let me show you guys this. This is a list. This is the best I could find with the big national companies, pay-per-views or PLEs or whatever. Now, see, this is all WWE has announced so far. The Royal Rumble on February 1st, of course, January 6th, Raw and Netflix debut, but that's going to be every Monday. WWE Royal Rumble, March 1st, WWE Elimination Chamber, that's when that's going to happen. WrestleMania 41 is April 19th and 20th, so you want to make sure that you don't book anything against them. I also sent these to you in your personal messages on Facebook, so if you need the list, it's there.
Yeah, I got that, yeah.
Then August 2nd and 3rd for SummerSlam. And Darren just sent me a photo. He must be watching the show. Let's see what he got. Okay, specialty mini donuts, chocolate raspberry, Oreo, cinnamon toast crunch, fruity pebbles. That'll draw John Cena. You better be careful, Darren. He'll bring a bunch of Hollywood types with him, and you'll never be able to keep them again. Cocoa Pebbles, chocolate coconut, peanut butter cup, Butterfinger, seasonal mini donuts, hot cocoa, apple cider, eggnog. Wow, that's a lot of flavors.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's been coming up with them. So when he starts back up, his mini donuts are going to be quite. When he slowed down for the Christmas thing, the mini donuts are starting to pick up. People's really starting to get interested in those flavors. So when he comes back, it's going to be pretty exciting.
Now, I also pulled the AEW pay-per-views. Now, I know that we were just talking about AEW Collision being in Charlotte on January 4th. How are they on January 5th going to run a show, Wrestle Dynasty, here in Tokyo? It says co-produced with New Japan Pro Wrestling, Ring of Honor, World Wonder, Ring Stardom, and Consejo Mundial de Lucha Libre.
I'm going to tell you how they're going to do it. Nobody you're going to want to see is going to be on that Collision show. All the people that you're going to want to see are going to be on that Japanese show. That show.
And maybe the people in Charlotte are aware of that, and that's why those tickets aren't moving any quicker.
Because, I mean, you think about it, or because and who knows, though, how many people are actually going to be from AEW on that show, because didn't you say Ring of Honor, too? Like, so you're going to have the Ring of Honor guys, and you're going to have all the Japanese, and it sounded like there was there a Lucha in there?
Yeah, the Lucha Company, Stardom, which I believe is a women's.
That's women's. So, I mean, they might only have 2 or 3 matches on that card, but who knows? But it's that thing where, you remember in WCW, I keep going back to WCW, sorry, but you remember those shows there for a while where everybody was in Japan running the super shows in Japan, and so you would watch WCW and you would get like the B team, on all of them. So that's usually what happens.
Well, buyer beware. Then they're going to have Grand Slam Australia on February 15th. Now, interesting about this show, I don't know if you guys were aware of it, but they had originally leased a big stadium like WWE did in Perth last year for Elimination Chamber, but they couldn't sell it. They weren't selling any tickets, so they moved it indoors to a 20,000 seat arena. And I hear the ticket sales are not going well for that either. I don't know why in the world, if you're struggling stateside to sell tickets, that you would haul all that shit to Australia. The cost of just flying everybody and all your equipment and your television production stuff, all that over there. Just I don't know, man. It don't.
Have they done a show in Australia before?
No.
I don't know. I mean, it. Not a lot of people have shows in Australia. I mean, maybe that's a good thing, it's probably got indies and stuff, but like, in general, they would probably be happy to see something big there.
Well, I think they're expecting the same treatment they got in England, the same reception, and drawing the same crowds in Australia as they did in England. And I guess apparently they're not.
Pipe dream. I mean, when they went to England the first time, CM Punk was still there. All the big, they hadn't run off all the big stars yet. That was CM Punk's last show, ironically enough. But they still had Daniel Bryan was on that show. It was just it had a lot more star power than that. And plus, they hadn't done anything at Wembley. WWE hadn't really done anything that big, and so there was a big turnout, but the attendance this year at Wembley fell off. So much so that they're moving Revolution. I mean, they All In to back to the U.S. this year at Arlington, and they're doing that big stadium show. You can see Revolution in March. Excuse me, a little phlegmy. Hang. All right, let's try this again. Kids, this is why you don't smoke. Stuff like this. Revolution, March 9th, 2025, Los Angeles, Crypto.com Arena. That's a normal size building. I think that's out there next to the football stadium. I think that's where Raw is going to be running their Netflix debut out there in Inglewood. So, yeah, kind of cool. If you're going down the 405 toward the airport, if you look out the right side, you can see that big new football stadium sitting out there. It looks like a big UFO just landed out in the middle of the city. It's kind of trippy. But let's see.
Sorry. I was just going to say about the Charlotte thing, like you would think there would be advertisements of matches by now.
No, man. AEW is so beloved, they don't have to announce matches. They're just like WWE. They just say, we're coming to town, fuckers, and the tickets disappear.
Because I'm looking at just the picture that they have. It's FTR, Willow Nightingale, I think, Darby Allin, Orange Cassidy, some blonde that looks like every other blonde wrestler, and Jay White.
Yeah.
So I'm just,
So those guys are not going to be. I guarantee you, Darby Allin is not missing that Tokyo, Japan show. So he might be on the poster, but I bet you he isn't here. If what you said earlier is true, if they're going to put all the stars over to that Japan show, but then you got All In. That's happening at the ball field, the baseball stadium in Texas. That's where they had that press conference a couple of weeks ago, and they said there was only 20 people there.
The one where poor, who I hate him, Bobby Lashley was trying so hard. God, he was trying so hard.
Yeah.
You could just tell he's like, what have I got myself into?
Well, Bobby, just keep working hard, collecting the checks. Keep, because you're a freak of nature. You don't age. We all know that. You're gonna live to be 150 years old. So keep saving your money, because you're gonna need it. And by the time your contract runs out in AEW, they'll probably have a spot for you back in WWE, and you just saunter right back on over there. We'll be waiting for you, and MVP and Sheldon Benjamin. But hey, you got to do what you got to do to keep the paychecks coming. And they didn't have a spot for him in WWE. I do not blame him for going over there.
Oh,
do not. And I'm so glad he took Sheldon Benjamin MVP with him, because they've proved over the years that I've never met either one of them personally, but the people that I know that have met them have nothing but nice things to say about them. So
I just don't like Bobby Lashley in a Mark way. I don't like Like I don't like him in a marked way. So.
Yeah, I got you. You got the same beef I got with what's that bitch on? I'll think of it in a second. It's one of the women wrestlers in WWE that really gets under my skin right now. Let's see, and then Forbidden Door. I love that. The name of that pay-per-view. I'm so immature because you know what it makes me think of.
Yes.
Yeah.
But anyway, so those are the dates of the pay-per-views for 2025 that we know of. So part of that exercise was try to make sure that we don't run up against any of them. So but anyway, let's see here. What else has happened interesting in wrestling this week? Not much in WWE. I mean, they're kind of just pushing everything forward to the Netflix debut, and we got Saturday night's main event. I noticed that Saturday night's main event is the Saturday night before the Royal Rumble this year. So, we're going to have 2 straight Saturday nights of wrestling at the end of January. And I'm certain that something's going to happen, that'll tie those 2 things together nicely. Although it's kind of cool. Kevin Owens has stolen the Winged Eagle belt and is holding on to it after Saturday night's main event, claiming that he's the real champion and Cody Rhodes does not deserve to wear it. And Nick Aldis is threatening him, come down hard on him if he doesn't give the belt back and stuff like that. So I don't know. I think we're going to get to see Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes again. And at first, if you'd have told me this a month ago, I don't want to see this match again. A third one? But the way the second one ended and the crazy promos that Owens has been cutting the last few weeks, this has the potential to end in a bloodbath, I think. I'd love to see that. Wouldn't y'all like to see just the canvas drenched in blood and crawling around?
Yes.
Yes, I would.
Like old school. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know what the chances are we're going to get
Cody.
Oh, yeah.
Get some of that dusty red and the white hair.
Yeah. Yeah. I always loved that about those wrestlers with the white hair, man, because even if you were sitting up in the cheap seats and they caught a gusher, man, you could tell they were fucked up because their hair would be bloody. Oh, mercy. So we'll see what happens there. Let's see. Anybody else got any topics they can think of? If not, I'm going to see if I can find those couple of those clips Reagan sent me this week.
Right. Like I said, I think I said it before we started broadcasting, is that I'm going this week and locking in some dates for the Mid Atlantic shows in Mount Airy. And we'll be doing between the Mid Atlantic shows and the joint shows with ICW. We'll be doing a lot of that.
And I'm excited.
It's going to be interesting.
ICW shows are so much different than like the Mount Airy shows of ours. Like it's 2 different worlds. That's the only way I can put it. Like,
and that's it. And that's what I think is going to be interesting about it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, having those 2 different worlds collide.
Yeah.
It makes some buzz for some interesting TV.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's going to be great to have, but it's also good, I think, because we're going to have, if we're doing TV tapings up there, it's going to be really good because now it's not like we were kind of talking about with the Texas wrestling, like you saw the Von Erichs like every single week. Now we're going to be bringing in all these new people that people either haven't seen a lot or they haven't seen at all. And like, I'm really excited. And I'm excited to see our guys go up there and wrestle people that are from that Tennessee group. So I'm excited. I think it's going to be fun. And it's a very interesting area.
Has Buddy Flowers ever wrestled up there? Has Buddy Flowers ever wrestled up there?
I don't think so.
I don't think he's made it up there yet.
I bet you he'd be so popular in Ivanhoe that they'd give him and the other members of THC the key to the city up there. I just have that feeling.
The key to the outhouse.
Yeah. Well, February 1st is the first one.
February 1st. Okay.
Oh no. That's my birthday weekend.
And the day of the Royal Rumble. And so
I didn't book that date.
Yeah, I know. I just see how how easy it is now that they're running the premium live events and everything on Saturday nights. How it's going to interfere with the independents.
You'd think if dickweeds would like give the independents a little something, Well, I mean, stick to Sundays.
No, because their audience is bigger on Saturday nights. When they first started playing with Saturday nights after they moved to Peacock, I remember talking to you about it, and you said they're probably going to end up moving all of them because that's when the most people are at home. It's not a school night.
It makes sense, but it's a little pissy.
Yeah. Well, but I'm going to say, yes, it is a WWE PLE, but where are you going to see those people that are going to be gone there? I mean, you know what I'm saying? You see those people first at the indie shows.
Well, and you can watch their stuff on the replay, so you can enjoy both worlds.
Yes, you can. And I would always encourage that. If you want to go see live wrestling, go ahead and go. Because when you come back, the stream is going to be put together. If you got that package where there's no commercials, you're not even going to have to watch the crap that goes on in between the matches. Mm-hmm. They're just going to go from match to match to match.
And if you don't like something, you fast forward it.
Yeah, and so what we learned over Christmas from Netflix is that, well, they're going to have to change the name of Raw to, instead of Raw is Netflix. The joke in this house is, welcome to Raw is buffering.
I know, and like that was the thing. It's like, I hope, I mean, when you think about it, like between this new, the Raw episode and the pay-per-view or the thing with Mike Tyson, I hope they've spent 24 hours a day trying to figure out that issue.
No, because they had the NFL on Christmas Day, and the Chiefs
I did not know that.
The Chiefs played in the first game, and it was unwatchable. Now, by the time we left and went to the movies with the talking people and came back, the Baltimore game had started, and I put that on, and it was crystal clear, but it was a 20-point blowout. And, so nobody was watching. That's why it was streaming so clear. Now, I got on Facebook and asked, and Justin Flash told me that his was streaming just fine. So, but I put a comment on Twitter about the NFL is buffering or something like that. Made some kind of smart ass remark. And I got a bunch of likes and retweeted like I was an influencer. So
here's my question. Why can't Netflix? The stuff they're showing live, NFL, boxing pay-per-views, WWE, every one of those companies, every one of those entities are experts in showing live content. Is Netflix just not taking any advice from them? Are they not working with them? Are they not saying, hey, how can we make this work? Or is it just a streaming thing?
I think they've jumped in the deep end of the pool. See, Netflix is worldwide the biggest streamer, right? So Triple H made a comment once that once WWE goes on Netflix, our programming will be available to 80% of the world's population. I don't think the servers can handle the traffic that Netflix, draws for some of these live events. Because it's not just the people in the U.S. like with Peacock, right? Peacock can handle everybody in the U.S., but Netflix is worldwide. So it's just so many more millions and millions of people. I think they've jumped in the deep end of the pool and made all these promises, and they don't have the capacity to deal with it. Are they working on it? Yeah. Will they have it fixed within a year? Yeah, but I'm not expecting to watch Raw actually live on Netflix at all for the first month or two. I'm just going to do like I do now and watch it on Tuesday after I get done with work. Because I DVR it now and watch it the next day.
Amazon Prime streams live basketball, hockey, football.
Yeah.
Paramount Plus was streaming the Carolina game today.
Yep.
They all did just fine. What's Netflix's hang up?
I'm telling you, those services you just named off are all just inside the United States, as far as I know.
Is that what it is?
Well, Prime maybe in more countries, but none of them has a bigger footprint as Netflix. I mean, Netflix is the king.
So it's a server issue.
Yeah, I believe it's a server issue. I don't think that their technology is able to keep up with it yet. And really the only way, I mean, it's like anytime you roll out a new system at work or anything like that, there's always bugs in the beginning of it. And I think they're just, they're going to have to work through it. I hate it. I hate it that they weren't ready before, but you really don't know until you say, okay, let's put this thing on worldwide and see what happens. And then all of a sudden you hear, and all the lights go out in the building.
Like a pimp debuting a new. It's like a pimp debuting a new hooker. It's always got to deal with the bugs.
Yeah.
or the streams.
Yeah. Or the streaming. Yeah, the streaming and the bugs. That's the worst thing with a new hooker.
Oh my God.
Reagan sent me a couple of clips this week of wrestlers getting hurt. Would y'all like to take a look at that? I mean,
yes.
It's universally fun to see people that do something stupid and have to pay consequences for it. I don't know how clear this will be, but yeah, take a look at this guy. Drop kick and that did not work out well at all. Ugh. What went wrong?
Well, is this the one? No, that's not the one where I don't know what went wrong. I don't even know what is going on. First of all, those are like banquet chairs. Like they're banquet chairs, so they're not going to give. So they're not going to give like a folding chair. They're just going to slide out of the way, whereas a folding chair would fold with you.
Well, can we also, like, sticking with that? It's banquet chairs, so it's metal feet on concrete floors, so they're going to slide, and it looks like what do you have? A piece of cardboard between the chairs instead of an actual,
it's
like what is that?
Yeah, it looks
like an Amazon box he was falling on.
A real thin piece of plywood. Maybe some paneling. I don't know. But it didn't look like it slowed him down very much.
No, it didn't. Look at his head when it hit down. Ugh.
And the chairs did not stay in place at all. You know what I'm saying? To give him anything to fall on.
Yeah,
it's forces of motion. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, oh, Reagan, do you think these idiots know the first thing about physics at all?
No. I mean,
they probably can't even get a slinky to go down a flight of stairs.
But it's like Rick said, like that's a metal chair on concrete. You
look
should
how
know
far apart
there's nothing there to keep it from smushing not going apart.
Yeah, look how far apart they slid.
Yeah, I mean, it's 2 or 3 feet. That one right here, this one, it goes 2 or 3 feet. It looks like,
yeah.
I can't tell about the other ones on the other side. They go a little ways too. Yeah. Oh yeah, that one right there.
Slides like it's on ice.
Mercy. Okay. All right. I think we got another one here. Let me just stop sharing until I find it. I don't want to pull up anything inappropriate. Well, Facebook doesn't really have inappropriate stuff.
Yeah. Keep in mind, Reagan's messages are showing up there too. So.
Let's see here.
No, I try not to. What did I put? Did something show up that I said that sounded terrible?
No. But I do have this other clip here. This is a little more brutal.
I will never get tired of Reagan's cats walking up in front of the camera, just laying down.
It ain't just hers. Every Zoom meeting I do in my shoot job, there's a cat comes into the picture.
Oh, this looks like it's going to go well.
Oh, it goes so. First of all, it's like I couldn't figure out what it was until I looked at it again. So that is the ring.
Right.
So that's the metal of the ring. They don't have a mat down, and they have a sheet of glass across the 2-3 beams.
Yeah, so it looks like, okay, so they've removed the canvas. They're wrestling on the boards, but they've moved the boards, some of the boards off the bar and replaced it with glass and replaced the ropes with barbed wire.
And the 12 people in the crowd go crazy.
This looks like they held it inside a damn Hot Topic. Look at the background.
Maybe they did. Because, like, I'm trying to, like, is the barbed wire, like, through half of the ring, too? Like,
they got the.
I don't think so. It looks like it's just run with the ropes.
Yeah, see the ropes, and then the barbed wire maybe is tied to the corner and crisscross or something.
I think the barbed wire is crisscrossing the ring right there.
There's 2 strands. Looks like it's coming off the ceiling.
It looks like look close. Do you see this X right here before he goes in? I think that is because look how it bounces when he goes through it. I think there's barbed wire right there in the middle of the ring, stretched, and he goes through it into the glass.
Oh yeah, it does look like it bounces, like he hits it. Yes, watch the barbed wire. That's where my cursor is, right there. Watch it jiggle. See,
and it bounces.
He hit it on the way down.
There's barbed wire in the middle of the ring like that, stretched
across the ring.
It almost looks like it's in an X pattern.
Yeah.
Where are they getting this glass from, though? I wonder. Like, are they going up to? I mean, where do you buy a pane of glass like that? Just from?
I don't know. That was Don Carson. Always brought the glass to AIWF. Does that look like safety glass when he hits it?
No,
it does not. No,
safety glass breaks in like little cubes.
Oh yeah,
chunks.
Those are big
shards.
Jesus.
It's I wonder if he lived. I mean, because there's big old sharp shards that fly out of this. Look,
because his back is already bleeding. If you look at his face, which is fine. Those are fine things to bleed. I don't care. That doesn't bother me. But that right there, first of all, look at how he ends up. He's hanging. His feet are still hanging from the metal support beam. Look.
Looks like he lands on a trash.
Well, that tells me it's a low boy ring. It could be a low boy ring. Probably is in that building. It looks like it's a low boy.
Well, look at this referee in the screenshot here. Look. See his elbow and his hips?
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. It's hard to say. Depends on how tall he is. But you might be right. It might be a low boy. But again.
Yeah.
Look, I just want everybody that hears this show tonight and in the future to all band together. And when somebody dies doing one of these crazy stunts like this, I just want everybody to send them a postcard. And all I want wrote on it is to send it to their funeral, send it to the funeral home so that they can have it there. And all I want it to say on it is dumbass.
And
it's gonna happen. It's only a matter of time.
Yeah,
it is. And first of all, that not even that glass there. That's a dangerous move to put to the floor to begin with.
Yeah, glass or no glass.
Glass or no glass, he's going to hit the floor terribly, and stuff. It's just and that's the kind of stuff that gives true hardcore wrestling a bad name.
Right.
Yes.
It gets lumped into that nonsense.
And nobody can sit and say, well, it's what the fans want to see. Yeah, the fans don't care. They don't care if you walk out or carried out in an ambulance, a hearse. And yeah, they're going to want to see it. And as long as you keep giving more and more to them, they're going to want more and more because there's always these sadistic people out there that will never be satisfied until somebody dies.
Yeah.
But the thing is, too, there are fans who do want that, but there's fans who don't want it.
Right.
Fans that kind of thing drives away.
There's a lot more fans that don't want to see that.
Right.
Than there are that do. And a lot of the wrestlers that do it, they're doing it for themselves anyhow to get clicks on the internet.
But, because if you see, look at WWE drawing all these record houses right now. You barely see any blood, much less people going through fucking glass.
Right.
I mean, who's going to want to bring their children to see something like that? Oh, Daddy, what's that coming out of the wrestler's neck? Oh, son, that's a raspberry jam. Turn around and look the other way, give it the old Ned Flanders treatment, right? What's that coming out of Kitty's ears?
I think I don't have any problem with hardcore wrestling. I mean, it'd be hypocritical for me to say that I did.
Right.
But I think barbed wire's fine. Chairs and tables and things, and barbed wire and tables, and I particularly think if you don't get the right kind of glass, it's very dangerous. It's very dangerous. As somebody who's gone through glass.
But even back when Brian was doing it, we studied it. I mean,
right.
Brian was very professional and he was cautious. He knew what to do and what not to do. and ECW back in their day, when they at their highlight of all this crazy stuff they were doing, they was very meticulous about how they done it too. You'd have never seen that spot right there on ECW.
No. And I remember Daniel Mays, as crazy as that fucker was, he was planning on using thumbtacks in a match one night, and I saw him in the back with him soaking in alcohol. So he was conscious of bloodborne illness and disease.
That's what I forgot. You would do that to your chair.
Yeah,
you
I had a spray bottle I would spray it down with alcohol to disinfect it.
Yeah, we're going to hurt this guy, but we're not going to give him Hep 3.
Exactly.
And that's how we got through without hepatitis.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just be cautious. A little bit cautious. A little bit of caution goes a long way.
But the thing is like the people that are doing that don't understand the difference between a pane of glass and a safety glass door. You know,
the safety glass doors are not hard to find.
No, because you can go to Lowe's. Aren't all glass? Aren't most of them like that are for your front door safety glass?
I don't know. I ain't no contractor.
I know. That's where Don always got them. He got them from the. Didn't Don get them?
A lot of times.
A lot of times, yeah. Or did he just come through with the doors? I can't remember. But, yeah, AC says hardcore still takes skill. It takes skill because you don't want to murder yourself or become completely handicapped, and you don't want to hurt the person that you're wrestling. I mean, it's still, you know, got to be done safely.
Right.
Well, and contrary to popular belief, it don't make you a hero or a superhero, or it don't give you any more attention than being able to go out there and putting on a good match would do. Yeah, it will from a few people, but I'm going to tell you right now, the people who care about that don't count.
Yeah, most people that come to wrestling, man, don't want to see, you know, brutality at that level, you know, especially if they're bringing families and stuff like that. So
still makes me think of that guy that got set on fire and threw to the other side of the building, and the building had the characters on the wall, the drawn pictures.
Oh yeah,
that's the one. Remember, they set him on fire. The ref set him on fire.
The ref set him on.
Yes, and then they threw him out of the ring, and like he was supposed to go through something, but he just kind of slid off of it and just hit the floor full force. So
I remember the one we showed where the guy got set on fire and like something went wrong. Like they used, I think they used kerosene or something that doesn't burn off very quick, and he's like running across the ring, and some guy from the audience just throws an unopened bottle of water at him.
I do remember that.
Yeah, they didn't even care enough to open the bottle of water for the throw it at him.
Here, catch.
I mean, because like I think about hardcore, like with Brian and when I did it too. Like that's not when I got hurt. Like I always got hurt. Like I broke my nose doing some kind of move where your head hit me in the head. I broke my tailbone with like a leg drop, and like so it. That's where you should, you know what I'm saying? Like so I never. Like, I just felt like it was safer the way we did it.
Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't like, because it's that backyard shit. That's what it is. And then that gets lumped in to like regular hardcore. And like, it is still a niche thing now. You know, it's not as popular as it was in the 90s and early 2000s.
Or
you know,
the 80s.
Yeah. And it's a niche, but it like, I feel like the way, like, we do it because we do it still like once every couple of months, you know. Ty will do it, and you know some other guys.
I have not seen Ty Tyson wrestle in a match that was not no disqualification in probably 4 years.
I know. But you know, like he's big time hardcore. You know,
he is a hardcore guy now.
Yeah, so, I mean that's kind of his thing. You know, if you wrestle Ty, it's probably going to be a hardcore match. I mean,
yeah.
And again, it's that whole thing of. You give the audience, you give everybody something. You give the people that like the hardcore, you give them the hardcore. There's the high flyers for the people that like that. There's the big bulls clashing in the middle of the ring. You just give everybody a little of what they want, You don't just do, if you just do all hardcore matches, 6-7 matches, about halfway through, people are going to get tired of it.
Mm-hmm.
I have another question. Thinking back to that clip you just showed, what did they do during that match to kill time while the canvas, the padding, and the boards were being removed from the ring?
Do you think that they started the
match like that? Maybe.
I think they did.
It looks like because I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It'd taken a long time to remove that canvas. If you started the match, they'd have had to fought outside while you removed the canvas, or they'd have had to untie it and remove it themselves. And with all that barbed wire hanging around, what a clusterfuck that would have been.
Well, it looks like on the video you can see where the other boards are pulled up and it's just rolled back if you look closely.
So what did they? All right, let's narrow it down a little bit. What did they do to kill time while somebody was moving the boards and laying a pane of glass in the middle of the ring?
Oh, they just let them walk around the Hot Topic and look at stuff. Yeah. Oh yeah, you can go back there. There's 2 racks back there, 20% off tonight only.
That's right. The dildos in the back rear corner.
You're thinking of Spencer's. You know what Spencer's does not have anymore? Lava lamps. They do not have lava lamps anymore.
They've got
I don't think nobody makes them no more, do they? I don't know the difference between Spencer's and Hot Topic. I'm 100 years old.
Yeah.
I did have a friend text the group chat. It was like, did one of y'all send me a lava lamp? So apparently they still sell them because somebody sent him a lava lamp and he doesn't know who.
I'm going on Amazon getting me one set right back here now.
I'd love to have one. I hadn't seen a decent lava lamp in many a year, but I know they still sell them. I just hadn't, since I stopped smoking them left-handed cigarettes, I haven't been attracted to sparkly lights like that as much as I used to be. But now that I'm getting older, I kind of want one.
Well, if anybody can find an extended version of that clip, I just want to see what they're doing while the boards and everything, even if it's just the boards and the glass is laying up there. I want to see, did somebody else come out and do it? Was it a tag team match and somebody else done it? Or was they over there throwing those really horrible light punches and looking out of the corner of their eye while it was being done? You know what I'm saying?
Send that
to a personal. Ready yet?
Yes, send that though. For those of you on Facebook and even on YouTube, go to the AIWF Mid Atlantic page on Facebook. If you can find a link to that entire clip and send it to us in a personal message. And I
just want to see what was going on while those boards was being removed. Because I guarantee you, somebody somewhere was doing this.
Forearms watching.
Throwing them forearms in the back while looking at a corner eyes. Is it moved yet?
And I think they had to have set it up. It had to have been if its barbed wire looked like what it looked like to me and the pain, they took time out and told everybody to go get a hot dog and set the ring up for it.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think they did, but I truly don't believe. I believe when the match started, the boards were all the way across the ring.
Right.
And the pane of glass was under it. I want to know how them boards got moved and that pane of glass got up. I want to know what those wrestlers was doing while that was being done.
I want to know if
they were smart enough to set something up and make it look realistically getting set up.
All right. We all keep the discussion going. I need to step away for a couple of minutes. I'll be right back. Got something going on in the background. I'll be right back. Y'all keep going.
Oh, Matt's in trouble. Go handle it, Matt. Hey, mute, Matt. There you go. Mute.
Yeah, he did.
So, like the thing, I mean, it's just because it looks, because the only reason it looks good is because they're legitimately getting hurt. Right. Do you know what I'm saying? Like they're legitimately putting themselves in danger, and like, man, that looks good. And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, there's a difference between looking good and looking believable.
Right. And the thing is that when a clip like that goes viral, it's more negative attention than good.
Yeah, it's for all the wrong reasons.
It's people. It's not people being impressed and being like, "Wow, look at what these guys did." It's look what these dumbasses are doing. This is stupid. Look at this. Just like us, we're like, "Hey, look at this video. Look at these idiots. What they're doing."
And here we are. We've been in the business for 30 years, and we're sitting here laughing at these guys.
And that's
not impressing nobody.
And what's sad is those are going to come across people's social media, and they're going to be like, this is what wrestling is. And then you tell your friends you like wrestling, and they're like, phew, you mean that stuff I saw on TikTok where the guy went through the glass? And then you're like, no, that's not what we do. So it just, I don't know. I know they say no, that bad publicity. What is it?
No such thing as bad publicity.
Yeah, but there is.
Oh, yeah.
There is.
Oh, I mean, there is in the wider scheme of things. In the big picture, there's plenty of bad publicity.
I mean, it's just so dumb. Like, just, you don't, in my opinion, if you have to put that much work into something for your hardcore match, then it's not worth it. Yeah. Like, it needs to be more natural. That sounds really crazy. Like natural,
right?
Natural progression of things. You pull out your chair, you pull out your table. Like as the match is going on, you look under the ring and you pull out your trash can full of stuff, or you pull out your barbed wire tape, or something like that. And you're doing it authentically throughout the match. When you have to sit back and then set everything up, but y'all did it with the barbed wire matches. And how'd y'all do that when you would do the ropes with barbed wire? How'd you do that?
Well, it was
between matches.
In between matches.
Yeah, or we'd take an intermission right before that match, or we'd make that match main event and take an intermission. They'd go out, they'd string the barbed wire, and when me and Brian had our barbed wire match, it was more of a wrestling match than it was a hardcore. It's just the barbed wire got incorporated into the match.
Because if you do it well, you don't go in it first thing. Like you always do those. You take your move, but then you you stop yourself right before you go in to it, so it builds up to the actual person going through the barbed wire.
Yes.
And when Brian got that big gash in his leg. I still believe that if that barbed wire hadn't have collapsed, was that when it happened? When the barbed wire collapsed?
Yeah.
I still feel like if you'd have just bounced off that barbed wire, you wouldn't have done it. I think when that stuff collapsed, it just, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that was the only bad thing that happened in that whole match.
And the thing is, too, I mean, that was the worst thing, and it wasn't that bad. I got a few stitches and stitched it up, and I was fine. I could walk. I mean, I could still, I wrestled the whole match with that big gash in my leg, but it wasn't, it was a big gash, and it looked awful, but, it didn't do any damage. It was a very clean cut. They sewed it up, and I was fine.
But it's like Reagan said, the setup for it is everything. I mean,
Yes.
you need to. It needs to be like Reagan said, a natural progression or something that goes quick.
Right, because if the audience has to sit there and watch you move the boards and then put the glass there, it's like after a while the tension is being broken. It's like, okay, start looking at your watch. Okay, they're going to put this guy through this class sometime today.
Yeah, it's like the guy standing outside, and they do this all the time. AEW is bad for this, but like it's the guy standing in a huddle outside the ring while they wait for the guy to climb to the top rope so he can jump off the top rope to the outside of the ring and they can all catch him. That is the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life.
And they'll stand there and watch them.
Yeah, and do this.
Because I was watching, because everybody that knows me knows that I watch old WCW, because I was watching recently, and it was a lucha, when they had the luchadors in WCW, and they were doing the exact same spots, but they weren't making it look like they were standing there waiting for them.
Right.
Like something else. They weren't the other thing I can't stand, and I see this all the time in lots of wrestling organizations now, this move where they're waiting and they're doing this, like they're wobbling, waiting for the people to get up
like you got them worn out in like Mortal Kombat when you get the finish.
And you're just
and
they're watching them climb up to the top, and they're like that. And I hate that, because it just it has to do with ring psychology, like, and understanding what you have to do in progression to make a match look good. So,
well, and I think it's got a lot to do with human psychology too, because you need to know what a person would do naturally in that situation.
They sure wouldn't stand there and wait for you to jump on them.
No, they wouldn't. And the fans know that too.
Yeah. You know, I was watching this thing. It was showing clips of the old movie, The Omen. Remember that from the 70s about the kid that was, Damien or whatever? There's a scene in there where the priest like is standing out under the church, and like the lightning hits a spire on the top of it, and it flies off like a javelin. And the priest just stands there for like 3 seconds going, no, and then it impales him. Like in real life, if you saw something sharp flying off of you from a 50-foot tall building, you try to move. You wouldn't
unless you're that orc in Return of the King, where the guy, the one that has the messed up hand, and the piece of Gondor,
the city
coming, and it comes, and he's going, and just steps right out of, just steps one side.
Yeah,
but only if you're
spits on it.
Yeah,
yeah, I remember that.
But I mean, badass. The thing about it is people don't think about the human nature and the human reaction to these things. And hey, you know what? If anybody out there wants to say, well, they're making millions of dollars in WWE and AEW, you're not. You're just sitting in there in your office doing I don't give a shit. Okay, I've been in this business over 30 years, and I'm willing to say this stuff, and they're in there probably because they're younger than me. They may be better wrestlers than me. That don't mean they're better psychologists in this business than me. It just means that they were in the right place at the right time, and then they have something that somebody was looking for somewhere. So, I will speak my mind, and you can kiss me.
Well, they had a botch a couple of weeks ago on SmackDown that's worth mentioning. Me Chen and Tiffany Stratton were wrestling, and you know how Tiffany does that damn no-look moonsault where she bounces up the turnbuckles, and she says it's the world's prettiest moonsault. Can't argue with that, because she usually hits it square every time. Well, Mi Chen was supposed to roll out of the way, and she didn't. And Tiffany hit it square, and they had to cover for her. Corey Graves had to go, oh, I don't think she hit that 100%. Got 100% of that. Mi Chen just goes into the next move and hits her with her finish and beats her. And Jinky's sitting there watching. She looked at me and she goes, what was that? I said, I think they called that on the internet a botch, and it even happens in WWE. So I don't want to just pick on the indie guys and the AEW guys. I mean, even the top people have it happen sometimes.
Yeah. Did you say that she hit it? She hit it flush.
She hit it square, and they just went into the next move like it didn't happen.
Yeah, just like it didn't happen. See, that's the thing, and it's very high paid wrestlers who are so determined to do things right by the way it's laid out, that they don't even think about what to do when something like that happens. They just go straight into it. And I know a lot of maybe TV time constraints. You've got this much time, you got to do it in this much time. But you could still do something, right?
Yeah, she could have kicked out.
Do they not?
She could have held her.
I can tell you.
Do they not think for themselves at all? I mean,
what I would do in that situation, if I'm Tiffany Stratton, I hit the moonsault I is supposed to miss. All you had to do, go back up one more time, have her move the second time.
Yeah,
and that's what you do.
Not that hard.
No,
yeah. Well, it's these people. This is Mi Chen. I don't know how long she's been in the business, but Tiffany's only been in the business about 3-4 years.
You talking about Mia Kim? That's Mi Chen. She's been a wrestler for at least 20 years. because she was in
Oh,
TNA.
well, that shit shouldn't have happened then. That's
She
no
was
excuse for that.
Jade in TNA for years.
Yeah.
Are
For
they
years.
so afraid? Are they so afraid of going off the rails just a tad that they just won't do it? Is the consequences that bad?
If you
Once they
go
get
over
back to the
time
back?
and you cause the main event to, like, if Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens are going to come out there and do a 15-minute segment and you chop 3 minutes off of that, they're probably going to be pissed.
Let's see, not 20 years because she's only 35, but she was in TNA a long time. A long time. Long enough to know,
it would take 30 seconds to redo.
Yeah, she started in Combat Zone in 2010. And then was in TNA. She's in Shine. She's in Shimmer. Then, so yeah, she was in TNA from 2010 to 2015.
Well,
and then
it's like I tell trainees all the time, everybody messes up. You are going to, when you're in the ring, you are going to mess up. What makes you good isn't that you never mess up, it's that you're able to recover when you do mess up. Because that's what makes you good, is that when you mess up and either the audience can't even tell you messed up, or they can tell that you messed up, but then you pick it back up and make them forget.
Right. Right. It's what you do after the mistake.
Right. And I think it comes down to things being so overly produced.
Right.
Because I think I had mentioned this way back for the War Games that, you had all these weird botches and stuff but then when Candice LeRae and Io Sky messed up, they were able to recover much quicker. And I think with Candice LeRae, it's because she's used to have been she was on the indie scene for so long. And so, I'm sure there's hardly any calling of a match in the big leagues now. I mean, maybe every once in a while, but they're just so overly produced that if your training is in that overly produced type of wrestling, you probably don't know how to fix a mistake in the middle of a match, because all you're thinking of is they told me to go up, they told me to do this, they told me I was going, and this, and this, and then when there's a mess up, they just don't know how to think on their feet. And I see that on the indie circuit too, that some people are not happy when and this is kind of going off into talking about wrestling in this way, but you can hear guys sometimes in the back, or in places, they're like, oh, I guess we're not gonna plan it all out from one move to the next and call it in the ring and stuff. So I don't know. Maybe that's why.
The lost art of calling it in the ring. I hear a lot of the old time podcasters complain about that. Hold your thoughts just for a second, guys. I need to tell everybody about branch management, which I know it's wintertime now. Things are slowed down a little bit, but it's still unseasonably mild like it was yesterday and today. And our lawn care people came by and did a little cleanup work for us this week. So if you got some trimming and stuff that needs to be done, you can still always reach out to branch management at 336-648-2487. That's 336-648-2487. They can help you with pressure washing, gutter cleaning, lawn care, and that best part is free estimates. And who doesn't like something free? Teased Treats is a food truck that operates out of Mount Airy. Boy, they've been some busy bees. They spent the Christmas season up there at Galax. What do they call it? What was it called again, Rick Deezel?
High Country Lights.
And when I was in Virginia before Christmas, I heard them advertising High Country Lights on Roanoke radio stations. So that is a very, I mean, people to travel to Roanoke to Galax, that's a hump, man. And that's not an easy drive either, but anyway, they were up there for that, and they are available to you if you want to give them a call and have them at your festival or see where they're going to be. Some of the best concessions in wrestling, 336-755-8204. That's 336-755-8204. And you can find more information about them on Facebook as well at facebook.com/tease treats. Yummy, yummy, yummy. And so be sure you'll see them at a festival near you, I'm sure, very soon. And of course, our friends up in Lynchburg, in the Lynchburg area, is Secondhand Heroes and Home for Wayward Villains, comics, video games, Magic the Gathering, D&D. Get your nerd on is what they tell you to do. They're located at 18184 Leesville Road in Evington, Virginia. Secondhand Heroes is your one-stop shop to get your nerd on. They're open 7 days a week at 11 a.m. They don't close until the dice stop rolling. Buy, sell, trade, barter, and specializing in collectibles of all type, both vintage and modern. Table space is available for Magic the Gathering, D&D, or any tabletop game you want to bring over. They have console games and old Nintendo and Sega for you to play, as well as 25 arcade cabinets. Their Monday night D&D group has been running for probably about 2 years now. They also host video game competitions for games like Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, Mario Kart, Super Smash Brothers, just to name a few. You can give them a call at 434-317-0121. That's 434-317-0121, or shoot them an email at secondhandheroesva@gmail.com. That's secondhandheroesva@gmail.com. And don't spell out second, use the abbreviation 2ND. And they had somebody smash one of their windows a couple of weeks ago, I saw.
Ooh, I didn't see that.
I did see that.
I think we should talk to him, Matt, about going up there, taking the cameras, and filming an adult shoots and ladders tournament for the internet.
An adult shoots and ladders
tournament. Let's just have a shoots and ladders tournament, and we'll film it for the internet.
I love shoots and ladders. I'd be down for that. I still got a Candyland game around here somewhere, you know.
Yeah, that would be another good one. No hi-ho Cheerio, though. That one always weirded me out.
I have no idea what hi-ho Cheerio is.
I've seen it, but I don't think I've ever played it. But look, I know this. If you're playing Candyland and you get caught by Gloppy, your game's pretty much over. I mean, you're fucked. You got to get a double brown to get out of that, and there's not many of those in the deck. And so, also it shoots and ladders. If you have to go down the big chute, you know the one I'm talking about, the one that goes from the top of the board all the way back down to the bottom.
All the way down.
You're screwed, man. You know, I mean, unless some of your opponents meet with the misfortune too. So, but shoots and ladders, it's real easy to meet with misfortune. I mean, there's a lot of misfortune to be had in that game. But board games and all that kind of stuff. Did y'all hear President Carter passed away today? We're going to make a historical reference. I saw that. Yep. President Carter, funny enough, is probably better known for more stuff that he did outside of politics than actually being president. And I was alive during the Carter administration. I'm old enough to admit that.
He was a god-awful president, but he could sure build a house.
Damn straight. He built a lot of houses. I have to agree. I read about some of the stuff that went on in his presidency today. I was too little to remember. But I read about it, and I was like, ooh, boy, he had a bunch of curveballs coming from every direction, man. It would have been hard
for the 70s, though.
Yeah.
Late 70s. Everybody was crazy back then.
Yeah, it would have been hard for anybody to navigate what he had to go through, you know. And plus Reagan was just a smooth talker, man. You know, he could talk an Eskimo into buying an ice machine. So, but anyway, I always liked President Carter because I heard that he kept teaching Sunday school up until just a few years ago. Now, how cool would it be to go to a little country church and in rural Georgia, and your Sunday school teacher every week was the freaking former president of the United States? I mean,
he built those houses up until like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So like he's one of those people that I think a lot of people say that he was just too good of a person to be a president.
He was too nice to be a politician.
I believe that. And you know, and his kid Billy, or brother Billy.
That's his brother.
Brother Billy, yeah. Billy Beer. Remember Billy Beer?
I did not, but I was watching them. Remember them old I Love the 70s and I Love the 80s shows that used to be on VH1 about 20 years ago? I found a channel on YouTube that's got them all, and they were showing the commercials for Billy Beer. And I was like, wow, was that a Georgia thing or was that nationwide? You know,
they tried to get it to go nationwide, but it just didn't really kick off real big.
Yeah. And the same type of people I feel like that were drinking Billy Beer were the same people that were drinking like Red Dog beer back in the 90s. You know, I mean, it's just, It's just a combination of broken dreams and poverty brings you to a brand like that. I'm sorry, I know that's a cheap shot. Everybody out there that ever drank a Red Dog's like, hey, fuck you, man.
I don't even know what a Red Dog is. So.
I had plenty of them.
Billy Bear was real popular while you were slopping the hogs.
Yeah, and the thing was, his claim to be telling everybody this beer was the best beer out there was, I've drank a lot of beer and I know what I'm talking about. This is the best out there. They even showed him at a charity softball game with his brother while he was president, and he was standing there waiting for his turn to bat, drinking a beer. It was just like, wow, incredible. I've heard the legends of Billy Carter, but when you actually see the footage, man, it's just like, whoa, baby. He fell down while he was running the bases. I mean, it's just like, woo. But anyway, that's a little historical thing, so we date ourselves. But anyway, so the end of an era is coming up Monday night. Last Raw on the USA Network. Maybe not forever, but for at least 5 years, maybe 10, all the way back to when I started watching wrestling. There's been a program on Monday night. When I started watching wrestling, it was prime time wrestling with Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan. And then it morphed to that panel with Vince. Do you remember that? The panel primetime wrestling with Vince around 1990. And then 93, Raw came on the air. But it's kind of hard to believe, man. Raw has been a staple of USA Network since 1993, and I know some of our viewers weren't even born then.
Well, they went off of it. They went off the USA for a while. Went over to like TNT or something, didn't they?
Yeah, went over to Spike. Yeah, for a few years. Yeah, around 2000, 2001. But most people have forgotten about that. Only us diehards, and they weren't gone long. Only a couple of years, right? Maybe not even that long. But
it wasn't long till everybody realized that USA is where they needed to be.
Yeah. And so,
but now this Netflix thing may do them a lot better because streaming, it's killing network TV anyhow.
It is. I don't know any 20-year-olds that have a cable package if they're not living with mom and dad anymore.
The closest thing I come to watching networks is I watch Pluto TV on Roku channel.
Yeah,
that's what I watch. But we wouldn't have it if my mama wasn't the one with it. So,
we've got all of them except for Hulu. That's the only one we don't.
The only thing I feel bad about, and I don't ever, is I used to watch Svengoolie on Saturday nights, and there's one streamer that has it, but it's all like, because it's on MeTV, and it's hard to find MeTV on a streamer. You have to buy like this weird family streamers to get MeTV. So
can't you get it though over the air?
I could if I,
You've got a Spectrum cable package though, don't you?
I do, but I'm saying like I don't even think our thing works in our.
Can't you get MeTV though on one of those little antennas?
Yes, you can.
You can, yeah.
For free.
Yes, try using a Spectrum app, Reagan.
But that's the thing where you have to like watch it at the time. You can't watch it like MeTV is one of those ones that you can't find to watch later. So you have to watch it at
that's how you're gonna have to use your DVR then. That's
they have a schedule.
And remember, you can run your DVR through the Spectrum app now. If I forget to set my DVR
every time, I always forget.
Yeah. Well, if you, because when the cable guy was over here working last time, we were due for some kind of maintenance. They called us, and he came over and he was like, "How many actual cable boxes do you have?" And I was like, "1." He goes, "Well, why do you have all these ports leading these other rooms?" He said, "Let me drive the signal all the way to where your modem is and your cable is." And you can operate those other TVs wirelessly. And I was like, well, I want to be able to watch, if I have company, regular TV. And he was like, you can do everything through the Spectrum app. And I was like, everything? He said, yes, you can even program your DVR if you're in another freaking state, man. And I was like, okay, so that's what I've been doing. I'll be sitting in a restaurant sometimes. Oh, shit, I forgot to set the DVR for Raw, and I'll cue it up and it'll record. But yeah, there you go. DVR Spectrum app. We're giving them all kinds of free publicity. I I wish they'd come on here and sponsor us, but they probably won't.
Well, in our defense, we used to be on Spectrum Cable, remember?
Yeah, we sure did.
Friday nights at midnight, and we actually had a pretty good following back then.
Yeah, we were putting a lot of people were coming to Elkin would tell us, man, we'd really like that show. Remember that guy that brought his kid and the little boy walked up to us. I don't know if you were standing there or not, but the guy introduced me to his kid and he's like, yeah, my son insists that we watch it, but it's on too late, so I have to tape it and I'll show it to him on Saturday mornings. And I was like, hey buddy, you like the show? And he was like, yeah, and his dad said, well, he's always complaining to me it's not long enough because they only wrestle for 30 minutes. And I was like, oh, buddy, you in for a treat tonight? I said, we go for about 2.5, maybe even 3 hours tonight. We got a lot of matches tonight. And that kid's eyes got real big. He was probably 5 or 6 years old. And he was like, really? And his dad looked at him. He said, yes, son, this is what happens when you come to a live event. They keep wrestling until the match is over. They don't cut away and start back next week. Yeah, like that. He's like, okay, cool. That kid just ate that shit up. Oh yeah, man. I remember that. We was drawing some good crowds back in those days.
I missed that, but they just got there was just a lot of factors. They jacked the price up real big. And then I think they even quit doing that little channel they had that was on. So
that's a shame. It is expensive to advertise with TV stations now, man. You can't even, if you go on their website or whatever and click on advertising, it's like no price, no ranges, nothing. You got to call and speak to a salesman, And so
I
can't imagine what PWX, and I don't even know if they're in business anymore. They used to be a local promotion down here run by one of the car dealers, and they had a show on the CW affiliate that aired at 5 a.m. on Sunday morning, and that only lasted a few months. I wonder how much they were having to pay to have that on there.
Well, why? I mean, with the internet and YouTube and all that, why even go to TV anymore? I mean, if you're on the CW, it's hard for somebody to watch that on their phone.
Yeah, I mean, you can download the CW app, but I mean, I don't know, and I don't know why. To me now, the TV landscape has changed so much that you shouldn't go seeking them out. They need to come to you. If you got something that's popular enough on the internet, the TV people will come to you.
Yeah, I believe so.
I think if you go in there looking to jam your show on a TV station, and if it's religious, you get a little bit of a free pass because they have to air so much of that stuff, religious programming. That's a certain amount they have to air every week because of FCC regulations. So if you got a church program, it's real easy to get in on. It's easier than like a wrestling or, you want to show arm wrestling or, turtle racing or something like that. It's going to be more expensive to get on. But anyway, well, end of an era for Raw. New episode. Hopefully Netflix is not buffering and Raw as Netflix is not buffering. We'll see how it goes. And I ain't got my hopes up too high, but I normally watch Raw on Tuesday, so it ain't gonna affect me none, no way. But I'd be interested to hear what our fans find if they try to watch it live tomorrow night. I mean, not tomorrow night, week from tomorrow. But yep, been a wild week, and not too wild of a week, but things are going to get interesting as we move into the new year. Everybody, the holiday season is winding down. Time to get back to the grind pretty quick.
Yeah.
All right. Rick Deezel's like the grind.
I don't want to think about. I have one more week that I don't have to think about anything, so I'm not jumping ahead to think about anything work related. So
I haven't been on the show because I've been grinding so hard for the last month.
Yeah. Well, we have to make the money while we can. You got to make it while you can. But anyway, so thanks for tuning in, everybody. I guess we're gonna get out of here and see what the week brings us in wild wrestling action. Will Raw tomorrow night be compelling their last episode on USA? It would be tempting for them to mail it in, but I think they might want to try to light a fire because they've got a loaded card coming up for their first episode on January 6th. And so what if you were booking that show, Rick Deezel? Would you like leave Raw on USA with a bang? Like, holy shit, what's going to happen next? I think it'd be smart. I don't know though. I couldn't book.
That's exactly what they need to do to push those viewers over to Netflix, because there's a chance that not all their viewers that watches them on USA or Peacock is going to have Netflix.
No, I mean, I think about the older folks, because if I'm 70 or 80 years old, I was like, man, I don't want to have to get my grandson to come over here and teach me how to do this damn Netflix shit just for Raw. I can still watch SmackDown,
Yeah, so, I hope it, because like this, speaking of that, Days of Our Lives used to be on Channel 12. Mm-hmm. And a few years ago, they moved just to Peacock. And like my old aunts were all like, well, I guess we won't be watching Days of Our Lives anymore because I'm not going to buy Peacock for it, or I don't know how to do Peacock. And so hopefully we don't have that problem with the old people like that watch wrestling and going, like you were saying. So
hopefully they're adamant enough wrestling fans that they get on the phone and be like, grandson, I need to know how to get on the Netflix. Because I know,
or they could just say, "Screw it, I'll go watch indie wrestling."
They could do that, but they got.
I know how to get to the local venue.
They got as long as they're able to still leave the house, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy though? I was walking through. You guys know. I mean, I'm not going to spill it all on the air, but I've been having to spend a little time at a nursing facility lately, right? And I walked down the hall one Wednesday night a few weeks ago and was floored by how many rooms I walked past and I heard AEW Dynamite coming out of. I was, and so I asked one of the nurses, I was like, man, that's like a lot of people watching wrestling tonight. And she was like, oh yeah, every night that wrestling's on, she said, we have a ton of wrestling fans in here. And I was like, wow, okay, it was pretty cool, kind of cool, and I'm walking, like you hear it in one room, you're like, okay. Then you hear it in two, you're like, okay. And then you hear 3, 4, and 5 as you're still going down the same corridor, and you're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? So wrestling's still popular.
Yeah, well, AEW is going to be, I heard that, even though they're going to be on Max, their stuff's still going to be over the air.
It is. So, what I'm wondering is, what about the pay-per-views? Are they going to be included with Max? No. Can you get them through Max at a lower price? How's that going to work?
And I know. It's still up in there about how that is.
So. Yeah, I've seen a bunch of theories, but they're from unreliable resources. So, we'll just have to wait till January and see what happens. But to me, it would be smart. I don't know. Do you still keep selling them at $50 a piece? Or do you just stream them on Max and draw more eyeballs? What's worth more in today's streaming wars? I think the eyeballs are. Honestly, because if you put those pay-per-views on
wrestling, because for wrestling, you want to get the eyeballs to buy tickets to when you come to their town.
Mm-hmm. And every WWE pay-per-view, especially the big four, Triple H always says, we got more people have seen the Royal Rumble this year than any year previous. He says it every year for the last 2 years. So, I mean, could be something to that. Maybe Tony will think about it. I hope. We'll see. Tony's going to do what Tony wants to do, though.
Yeah.
Well, anyway. All right. Let's get out of here. Let's shut it down. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody, for watching. So for Brian and Reagan, for Rick Deezel, I'm Mad Matt Carter. We'll see you next week, fans. And until next time, so long for now.